Rooted in Rising family, welcome in. Take a breath. Get comfortable and just settle into this message because this is when reality meets the connection. This is a collective read. So, this is a Rooted in Rising collective read. As you're listening, you'll see the cards on the screen. These are the cards that were pulled for this reading, tarot and oracle decks as well. So you can connect visually as we walk through this together. As always, take only what resonates, leave what does not. Every part of this collective reading is not for everybody. So, for some, it may seem like a wonderful kind of story, but for some, it may feel like something that is unfolding, something that you can feel is coming, right? Or something that may have already had its beginnings, right? And actually starting in the physical. So, again, take what resonates. And when I speak on masculine and feminine, know that I'm speaking on energies, not gender. So, you can have a masculine card, something like the Emperor, right? That's a masculine energy, but it doesn't mean we're talking about gender, right? That's an example. Okay? So, the last message already walked us through the realization, the emotional truth, the release of the past, and the decision not to ignore this connection anymore. So now we are moving forward. Now we're stepping into what happens when the truth is actually acted on, right? This is where the connection begins to move out of thought, out of feeling, and into real life. Because once again, this is when reality meets the connection. So we start things off with the Ace of Swords, clarity that leads to action. So the Ace of Swords is a card of clarity, of truth and mental breakthrough. It represents a moment where confusion is cut through and something becomes undeniably clear. We can think of that with our sword energy. It's a sword. You cut through things, right? And our swords, we also know, is air energy, right? So it is the element of air. And it has to do with the mental, the mind, all right? And that's where we lead to clarities, because the Ace of Swords is a card of clarity, truth, mental breakthrough, right? That's how we come up with that. So again, this represents a moment where confusion is cut through and something becomes undeniably clear, all right? Doubt is removed, all right? So in this reading, Spirit is not showing this as a realization for the first time, all right? This is a realization that has already happened. So here, this is a clarity that leads to decision and action. All right, this is where someone is no longer just aware of the connection. They are now asking themselves, okay, what am I actually going to do about it? So this is clarity that leads to action. So this is clarity that is coming from the mindset of movement, not just clarity on I know and realize what this is or what this means to me, all right? This is connected to movement in this particular collective reading, right? So again, this is the divine counterpart asking, what am I going to do about it? All right. So this could look like someone sitting with their thoughts and then realizing, I keep thinking about this person. Again, remember, swords is dealing with your mind, the mental, right? I keep coming back to this. So why am I still holding back? All right. And this is where we can bring in one of our oracle deck cards from the Unspoken Truth Oracle deck. And it's, do you ever think about me late at night? Do you ever think about me late at night? And I'm looking because I wanted to see if I could just show the deck, show the thing. Do you ever think about me late at night? Looks like that. It's cute. I like the cards. They're interesting. But do you ever think about me late at night ties into the Ace of Swords, because swords is dealing with the mind. It's clarity of the mind in this reading in regards to action. And so that's where we bring that in. So this isn't just reflection anymore. This isn't just inner thoughts. This is someone realizing that I've been thinking about this person pretty consistently, and this isn't going anywhere, right? Just sitting thinking about it isn't going to lead to anything, right? So what am I going to do about it? So this is where thought is turning into intention, all right? So we're moving from thought to intention. Then we move on to our next tarot card, the Star. Healing that opens the door for connection. The Star represents healing, hope, renewal, emotional openness. It's what comes after a period of difficulty, right? When someone has processed enough to feel peace again. So in this reading, Spirit is showing that healing is no longer just about feeling better internally. It's about becoming emotionally available, because you can't connect with anyone on a real level if you're not available emotionally, can you? So, and this is saying likely before, healing may have looked distant, right? I'm at peace, but I'm staying to myself. To me, that is kind of your time when you are healing. So right now, the Star is representing being healed enough to let someone real come in, right? The last reading led with the Queen of Cups. So it meant that the feeling was there and always there, very deep, very intense, but it was internal, right? And Cups, it deals with our emotions. It's water energy, right? It deals with our emotions. But we have the Star here saying now we're emotionally available. Everything was kept inside. You weren't available emotionally, to come forward and express how you truly felt. So now we have the Star, and this is the healing that opens the door for a connection, because now you are at a point where you can give and receive love properly. All right, you're available emotionally. All right, you're not closed off or distant. All right. So again, this looks like I'm healed enough to let something real come in, and then we can move on to our Medicine Woman Oracle card. That's unconditional love. I remind you of the magic of love. You are blessed, right? This shows that love is no longer something being avoided or questioned. And this could look like someone who's no longer shutting down when emotions come up, no longer totally guarding themselves and trying to protect themselves from what they feel. All right, someone allowing themselves to feel without the fear of being hurt again, because in our last reading, we had Five of Cups. That's our losses. So, going through some sort of loss was expressed. So it's only natural to try to guard from that, which we also had the Nine of Wands, which is our guarding. Nine of Wands says we're not totally closed off, but we're still guarding, protecting something, rightfully so. If you've come out of something pretty hurtful, pretty painful, or something that didn't go as planned, there is a recovery period, and you do experience the feeling of loss. But again, this is no longer shutting down when emotions come up, allowing yourself to feel fear without being hurt again, thinking this will just happen again. And someone recognizing that not all connections will repeat the past. All right, especially this is a divine connection. It doesn't mean that there won't be any problems or disagreements, but this is a connection like no other. All right, this is more of a connection where you are coming together in order to do with the purpose of doing something together, right? And you're coming together with someone you can build and grow with. All right, the likelihood of the past repeating is minimized because of the type of connection it is. All right, So now healing becomes an open door and not a wall, all right? Because, star healing, and if you're going through the process of healing, you could be, emotionally unavailable. But now you are, you've completed the process of healing, at least healed enough to be open, all right? Your guardedness is not going to come all the way down. As the Nine of Wands indicated from the last reading, you're still going to be guarded because you're not going to move the same. You're not going to jump in all at one time and say, yeah, let's do it. You're like, okay, no, let's move a little slow. Last time I was all in. Last time I was ready. I was gung-ho. I learned, let's slow it down. Let's feel this thing out. Let's really get to know a person. It doesn't mean go incredibly slow to where, it's just ridiculous. And then you both losing patience with one another and just say, forget it. But it does mean taking your time to feel things out to make sure it is something that you both really want and it's both something that can really grow and be headed in the same direction. Otherwise, there's no point in coming together. There's no point in coming together in a union and you both want to go different directions. That's just not going to work. It's all right. So you have to make sure, you're going to take the time to make sure that you are both someone who can collaborate, grow together, flow together, and go in the same direction together, even when you've got differences on how you feel like you should get there. Okay? I'm the type of person, I don't have to agree with you to move. For me, look at me, I'm going on. For me, if I told you and you did what you wanted to do anyway, you just better be very comfortable to know when I'm in full Virgo energy, that I have fully got that I told you so locked and loaded for you. If you just didn't listen to me, I will not be able to contain my readiness to say I told you. But it doesn't mean that we're going to be stagnant, because sometimes the best, old parents will say, I'm going to say black parents, I can show you better than I can tell you. Or sometimes you just have to learn the hard way. We'll go learn it, all right? But I'm also on the other spectrum of the thing. I am not afraid of being wrong, because I might be wrong. I might have a full-fledged opinion that I do not agree with you about. You want to go this way, I want to go that way. It doesn't mean I still can't collaborate and just say, all right, in compromise. And it doesn't mean if I end up being wrong that I can't hear, I told you so. I'm not afraid to be wrong, and I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. So, you'll find that you'll get places a lot faster if you're not afraid to be wrong or admit when you're wrong. So I'm not going to be right 100% of the time. I'm going to be right most of the time. Not 100%. I can admit when I'm wrong. I'm just saying. But when I'm right, you just better know that I am the one that cannot wait to tell you that I told you so. Not to taunt you, just to say, I had your back and you didn't listen. I'm gonna leave it right there. I'm gonna leave it right there. I'm gonna move on. Anyway, we went past the star. Star is now you're emotionally available. You are healed enough to be able to grow. I was talking about the Nine of Wands because that was the last reading. You're still guarded. You're not jumping all the way in, but because you're not going to do things the same way. But still, the star says you are now at a point that you can actually move towards the one you want to move towards too, because you're not blocking your emotions from them. All right, we move on to justice. And real life decisions that create alignment, all right? Justice represents truth, fairness, accountability, and real life decisions. I love that word, accountability. I know a lot of people hate that word, but oh my gosh. With my child, my newly teenager, I use that word all the time. I know he hates the dickens out of that word. Accountability. He just hears it all the time. Now picking up your clothes is lack of accountability for your environment. But anyway, I like that word. I just do. Anyway, I'm just going off. I'm sorry. I'm getting back on task here. So again, justice represents truth, fairness, accountability, real life decisions. This is not internal anymore. It is external, right? This is where someone begins to align their real life with what they know to be true. And we bring in from the Kipper deck, and that's Kipper. That's like the Barbie cards. Let me see. I happen to have. I don't want to pull that card. Look, they happen to get a bad one. Like, oh, wait, I don't want that one. And I flipped another one. Let me turn this around. I was going to show it to you. Like, no, don't like that. Okay, here's a pretty one. A decent one. Okay. Not going to tell you what I just pulled. I'm like, oh. Anyway, they kind of look like those. That's the Kipper deck. That's just an example of how they look. Look at the back of them. It's pretty in pink. All right. Anyway, the Kipper deck, we have the card Other Lover, Infidelity, Secret Love, Double Life. All right. This shows what is being corrected. It doesn't necessarily mean that, that you were being cheated on. This could look like someone ending a situation that's just no longer aligned. All right. Someone no longer entertaining confusion or divided energy. The energy of I'm going to do what I want to do. And, then you're over here doing what you want to do. And nobody's getting anywhere. We're just both mad at each other. Nobody's working together. So divided energy, or one person is just my way, the highway, and screw you. And that, I'm just saying that was the energy there. And so that's real independent energy. That is not coming together and working together energy. If you got that kind of energy, then you don't need to connect with anyone. Just be independent, and then you can do whatever you want to do, right? You can still even be in a relationship, and you'll want to be separate and on your own, and y'all agree to live. You live here, I live there, and you make your own separate decisions, and you can have divided energy because you can do what you want, right? But don't look for a connection, especially a divine one, if you're going to be in that energy. It's not going to work. But anyway, that's just my opinion. And also, this could look like someone choosing, overall, this is someone choosing honesty over convenience. All right, this is where a divine counterpart, either masculine or feminine, the divine feminine, divine masculine, says, I cannot step into something real while still holding on to something that isn't. This is that, again, letting go energy. Last reading, that was the 10 of Wands, carrying that heavy load, and then you decided to let it go. The realization was, what's that? Justice. And then you also, the Fool, was that release of something. So this is similar to that. Okay, this is, I can't step into something real while still holding on to something that isn't real. Again, that's justice, the realization, excuse me, my nose itching. Truth, fairness, accountability, real life decisions. It's action, all right? It's choosing alignment in the physical world. All right, and then we move on to a lovely card, the Three of Pentacles. Building something real together, our collaboration energy card. Love it. Excuse me. The Three of Pentacles represents teamwork, right? Collaboration, effort. Because I told you, even in divine connection, there's still effort. It takes the work. It doesn't matter if the Most High came down and put you two together and, just blessed you two. Go forth. What did they say in the beginning in Genesis? Be fruitful and multiply. And he just blessed you too, like Adam and Eve. You see how that went, right? There's still going to be problems. It's still going to take work. There's still effort, and there's still something that you're going to have to work through. But the teamwork energy allows you to get through it. All right. For me, that looks like being prepared to hear, I told you so. But it also, for me, looks like, okay, I can admit that I was wrong. I am so happy that we just did what? Compromised. All right. Compromising doesn't mean I have to compromise everything fully, but I do have to recognize, all in all, we're on the same team. We're trying to get to the same place, and I do have to have some trust in my partner to believe that the intention would be, to get there from a good space and place. As long as it's not reckless, it's something that, we just have to have some trust there. All right. A good place is what you can think. Okay, well, it's coming from a good place. They don't mean any harm. They wouldn't have the intention to harm. The intention is to get to the goal. I don't agree. I think we should do it this way. But there still has to be some compromise. Maybe there can be some something worked out where you can just come in together in the middle. But regardless, Three of Pentacles represents teamwork, collaboration, effort, and building something with intention, but most of all, building it together. All right. And this is where something begins to take shape in reality. All right. And then, the building, I will even say sometimes it isn't always everything that you're doing is just together. Like everything you're building. Sometimes it really is the other person's goals, ambitions, and maybe you're more in a supporting role, depending on how you work things out in your relationship. I can only speak from this standpoint because that's how I grew up. Standard standard Christian values will say that the woman is the helpmeet. All right, she is the one that helps her partner, right? So it may look more something like, okay, you're helping him in a way get to a goal by helping in other things, but also helping with that particular thing. You're still moving in a goal together. You're still moving together. It benefits you all as a whole, but it may not look like I have this project and my divine counterpart is helping me with it. Helping me read tarot. I don't know. It may not look like that. It depends on what you all are building. That is still building together because he can't do it without you. I mean, he could. It's just to be harder without you, So that's where you're helping. That's where you're building together. Well, I've been on the Bible lately. Oh my Lord. But anyway, and it doesn't mean that you have to believe in the Bible to hear what I'm saying. You can take wisdom. You can understand wisdom when you hear wisdom. The Bible will very much so speak about the importance of a woman in her wisdom. The Bible clearly tells you that it is the woman who makes the man or allows the man looks good when he goes out in front of other men because he has followed the advice of who? His wife. Just saying. So you play an important role in the natural wisdom that you have. And I know, in the church, people will talk about the Proverbs 31 women to death. But anyway, I believe that's a real thing. But I'll go off on that one. And then for you, woman, it can also look like something completely different when y'all are working on something that is mostly rooted in your desires and wants in the way he is helping you. It is still him. It is still moving and building together, but it doesn't have to look like, we started a business together. It could look like, okay, he had this goal and we worked on it together. All right. You have to have mutual respect for one another. And not one person acting like the other is insignificant or unimportant because, the thing is mostly about them. The supporting roles, are just as important. Any production, any show, any film, anything you're watching, anything you're doing cannot be done without all of the support. So you have to think about it that way. I don't care how much of a boss the CEO is. Let him lose his secretary and you're gonna find out real quick who's really running things. Okay. I'm just saying. And I've seen that personally growing up. My mom used to be secretary. At one of the administrative jobs she had, secretary. Yeah. Let her be sick one day. Let her not come to work. You'll see who really runs something. All right. So supporting roles is just important as, quote, unquote, the lead. Different roles, different jobs, but just as important. And one cannot do without the other. So you both have to respect one another. I have no idea how I went off on that, but oh well. There it is. Anyway, So anyway, Three of Pentacles. Again, this is where something begins to take shape in reality. There is no longer internal. This is no longer internal work. How do we show up for this together? Spirit is showing this is the beginning of actual interaction and cooperation. This could look like, again, conversations becoming consistent, plans being made. This is the beginning stages. So this is what it could look like in the beginning. And then obviously when it develops and grows into something serious, it's more like working and collaborating with one another on whatever y'all are trying to achieve together. But anyway, this could look like conversations becoming consistent, plans being made, both people putting in the effort equally. It's no longer one-sided or imagined. It is shared. All right? You can feel like, okay, we are actually doing this and we're doing it together, right? Then we move on to the King of Cups. Now, last reading we had the Queen of Cups. We have moved on to the King of Cups. We've graduated, right? This is emotional control in action, not just feeling. The Queen of Cups, she was very internal, very on the inside. King of Cups represents emotional maturity, stability, and control over emotions, all right? It doesn't mean that this energy doesn't feel as deep, but it is control, all right? Not just feeling, if that makes sense. So this is someone, again, who feels deeply but does not get overwhelmed by those feelings. It's less emotional, right? So in this, it deals with emotions, but it's not emotional. I'm laughing because I am an emotional person. It's so funny to me. My Lord, I really am, just being honest. In this reading, this is not, I am emotional. I'm really emotional. But at the same time, I'm very guarded. So you won't, if you have witnessed a tear fall from this side, it is something that didn't happen. Or we had a funeral, but you won't ever see me. You will not ever see me cry. Anyway, and this went off. I am just feeling really, I don't know what today. It's so funny. So this must be the energy behind this reading. It's very light. It's very playful. It's kind of joyful. It's very Three of Cups, which is merriment, joy, socialization, going out together, having a great time. It's almost date night energy. Social, just going out and enjoying oneself with one another, or just, of course, it can also mean friends in a group and stuff like that. But it is enjoyment and merriment. But anyway, this is someone who feels deeply but does not get overwhelmed by those feelings. King of Cups energy. And in this reading, it's not just emotional awareness. This is emotional leadership, because we went from king to queen, right? So this could look like someone showing up calmly and consistently, right? In control, feeling deeply, but looking like this. I don't know. Someone expressing feelings without emotional chaos, right? Someone being steady instead of reactive. And we bring in from the Oracle deck, the Unspoken Truth Oracle deck, you were my home. Now you're just a place I can't return to. And this reflects emotional clarity about the past. This could look like no longer going back to old emotional cycles, right? We got rid of it. No longer choosing what once felt comfortable but was not aligned. Familiarity. You want to know sometimes how people stay in abusive relationships because that's what they know. Been there, done that, just saying. It's what you know, so you stayed. Or you don't think you deserve better, or you just, again, don't know any better. You think that this is normal until you find out it's really not. But anyway, different story for a different day. So no longer going back to old emotional cycles, no longer choosing what once felt comfortable but was not aligned. It was convenient, she's there or he's there and I'll work with it. Well, we've been together this long and I'll just deal with it. Recognizing that the past served its purpose, but it is not where they belong anymore. So now emotions are not controlling them. They're no longer led by their emotions. They're leading with emotional awareness. But King of Cups, control. All right. So we move on to the High Priestess Intuition. I love the high priestess. Intuition that guides real movement. All right. Intuition means you already knew what to do in the first place. You already knew what this was. You already knew what to do. You had to go through all of that to finally get to a place of movement. But let's get on to the card. The high priestess represents intuition, inner knowing, spiritual awareness, and trusting what cannot always be logically explained. Right? No logical explanation. You just intuitively know. Spirit is showing that this is being shown more as a quiet observation, right? Oh, how do I word this? No. Like Spirit is not showing this as a quiet observation. This is intuition being followed. So intuition is the inner knowing, the awareness, the spiritual awareness, but it's quiet, right? It's usually inside. All right. But since we're talking about in this reading, collective reading about, the big movement, this is no longer quiet. This is intuition being followed. So the inside of what you already know, you already knew how you felt. You already knew what you wanted. You already knew what you wanted to do. And you likely already knew what you needed to do, but it was all internal. Last reading, Queen of Cups. And now it's moving outward. Intuition being followed. The knowing of what to do intuitively, put it that way, but not letting it stay that way. Coming out. So this could feel like the urge to reach out. There you go. And actually doing it, all right? Knowing the timing is right and not hesitating. Trusting the connection enough to move without needing constant confirmation. Just doing it, right? And we'll bring in from the Oracle deck, the Wednesday Oracle deck. And that's an interesting deck. Wednesday from the Addams Family. It looks like this. From the Addams Family. Oh, I should turn it. From the Addams Family. They made a newer show. This is based on that one. From the Addams Family. Animal Instinct, the furs. I'm taking it out. They have their own explanation. It looks kind of like this. This is a good card. This is not the card. I'm just showing you how the deck looks. That's all. So anyway, Wednesday Oracle deck, Animal Instinct, the furs. As in furs, F-U-R-S. Like, an animal instinct. Animals have fur. All right. Animal instinct is a key part of survival. Yeah, it is. It's how they survive, right? Don't be afraid to follow those feelings. And that's the card I was reading. All right. So this confirms that instinct. Remember how we have the high priestess? It's internal. It's internal, intuitive knowing. It's it's like when you ask the teacher a question, ask them for help, and they tell you, you already know the answer. You're like, no, I don't. I asked you for a reason. They're like, you already know the answer. You're like, I don't. Anyway, and usually you do. If you sat to think about it, you do. But anyway, so it's like that. All right. This is this confirms that instinct is now just leading to behavior, leading to action. All right. The intuition that you already knew from the high priestess, already felt, is confirming that it's now leading to behavior. From the animal instinct, key part of survival. Don't be afraid to follow those feelings. Basically, do it already, right? This is no longer, I feel it, but I'll wait. I'll hold back. This is, I feel it, and I'm moving on, and I'm going to get it, right? I'm going towards it. I'm going to get it. All right. Then we move on to the Tower. And the Tower is what it is, right? But this is not a really bad tower. Some towers is like your whole life is falling apart. But this is not that kind of tower, right? This is a good tower, right? So the Tower is when the connection becomes real in the physical world. The old structure has dismantled. So you've gone through my entire life has fallen apart. You've likely already gone through that part of the tower. So we're at a different kind of tower. We're at a tower that doesn't feel like all hell is broken loose on your life, right? So anyway, the tower, this is when the connection becomes real in the physical world. The tower represents sudden change, realization, and movements or moments that shift everything. Changes something. It can even, like I said, realization is a part of that. I don't know how do I say that? Like, it's like an aha moment. There you go. Like, aha, like I get it. Sometimes that's the tower, where you see something and it's like, oh, now I get it. Like the pieces came together. Aha, that could be a tower moment. Okay, but in this case, again, it's not destruction. This is just impact, right? This is when the connection moves from something internal into something that is undeniably real in the physical world, looking like finally seeing each other and feeling the intensity instantly. A conversation that shifts everything in one moment, or an interaction that makes it impossible to treat this casually anymore. And if we were in that just do it already energy, maybe we extended, well, that we're not going to say that because that's coming next. Okay, I'm going to leave that because that's coming next. But anyway, interaction that makes it impossible to treat this casual anymore. You just can't ignore it. You can't ignore it and you can't sit on it. You've done it long enough. So again, the tower here is not destruction, it is impact. It's that moment where both people feel, oh, this is actually happening. All right. And we'll bring in from the Dead Inside Oracle deck. I would show that to you, but it's being used to hold something up right now. So anyway, I can't show it to you because I'm using it. It's multi-purpose right now. It's holding up my iPad, so I would show it to you. I don't know, I didn't even pull one card out. But anyway, though, it's a very fun looking deck as well, though. But you can just Google it, I guess. But this is from the Dead Inside Oracle deck. Over explaining everything, anxiety, insecurity, rambling. And I've been doing a lot of that lately here, right? Anyway, so that's the human reaction to that moment, to that tower moment. Because when something becomes real like that, it can feel overwhelming in the moment. So it's just saying that the tower moment is it can be overwhelming. It's an overwhelming moment, right? Anxiety, insecurity, rambling. You know how it is when you're having a conversation with somebody that you love. It's like high school energy with the boy you like or the girl you like. You become, what is his name from Looney Tunes? The one that stutters. Oh, what was his name? Oh, I forgot his name. But you know how that goes. The one that stutters a lot. But anyway, one of those moments. It can be overwhelming. But we'll move on to the Page of Cups, and that's why I said I'll wait, because this is the first really emotional offer. It's that small gesture. And I was going to say that earlier up here. I was like, no, that's coming next. So the Page of Cups represents emotional expression, vulnerability, and the beginning of something heartfelt. This is the moment where feelings are actually shared. All right, again, our cups are dealing with emotions. We're at the page stage. You know, our tarot cards will go from, when you get the different decks, it will go from the page on up to the king, right? Unless you have the major or minor arcana, but we're not dealing with that right now. We start pages like at the baby steps, and king is reaching maturity. This is why I was talking about, and this is why I was talking about the Page of Cups being the beginning stages, or I should say the first real emotional offer or the small gesture. All right. So something like a hello, something as small as even a text message, testing the waters. Something to begin movement, right? A small message, a hello, how are you? That they know they're going to see you on this day at this time. They make sure that they speak to you. A small gesture, right? The baby steps. All right. Again, so this is the moment where feelings are actually shared. It's not perfectly, not in a grand, polished way, I'm down on bend and I love you, girl. No, we're not. It's not that. Something small, but honest, all right? Honest and most of all, genuine, okay? And we bring in the Medicine Woman Oracle card, speaking out. Your voice is released. Express yourself frankly, all right? So go ahead and make that small gesture, all right? What was holding you up from speaking before has been released, all right? And now you're free to speak genuinely, all right? Kindly, but express yourself. Don't keep it to yourself. So this shows that something is finally being said. All right, and this can look like someone expressing interest, once again, admitting how they feel, opening up the door emotionally. Small, but real, like a text message, asking how you're doing. I don't know, see you at this event or whatever that event, and they know you're going to be there. They make sure to come and speak to you, and, make small talk with you, just something small that, that expresses their interest with you, at least, their interests. All right, then we move on to the moon. All right, experiencing depth in real time. The moon represents emotions, depth, the subconscious feelings, and processing what is felt beneath the surface. All right, what is really being said, especially with someone who's really stoic. You'll never know. It's like, I don't know if they feel anything, right? So again, this is not confusion, because sometimes the moon can represent that as well. So in this particular reading, it's not confusion. This is emotional depth unfolding in real time. All right, which could resemble thinking about interactions after they happen, feeling emotions deepen with each conversation, processing the connection as it grows, as it builds, right? That's where we bring in the Dead Inside Oracle deck. Once again, reading old texts like a novelist, right? Showing that they are revisiting moments, messages, interactions, all right? Not because of uncertainty, because they know how much they mean and they want to be reminded of you. Isn't that beautiful? It's a way to keep your energy alive and, you around their energy. So it's not like excessively, it's not like obsessively, that's what I mean. So it's not like a weird thing. It's just having you in their energy, and it's deepening what they really feel for you. It's deep down beyond the surface. And then we move on to the Four of Pentacles, valuing what has now taken form. This is beautiful. The Four of Pentacles represents holding on to something. In a traditional tarot deck, I didn't use a traditional tarot deck this time again because of some of the cards. But in a traditional, you will have a guy and he has a Pentacles represents like money. So he's holding on to a coin and he's holding tight to it, which can also represent miserliness. But in this aspect, you're holding on to something meaningful, something stable. So Four of Pentacles represents holding on to something, right? Stability and valuing what has been gained. All right, you earned this and you're holding on to it, so this is the connection. All right, but it can also represent being careful with something because now it matters. A miser is not going to just spend their money. It's hard to get them to spend their money on anything. So that's why I kind of can represent holding on to something now because it matters, right? Or valuing what has been gained, what you have, the steps you have making together, even though small right now, even though it's in the beginning stages, is valued, and they're holding on to it so that it can grow, if that makes sense. Holding on to what has already taken shape, but definitely, holding on to it value-wise, just recognizing value so that it can continue to grow. All right, it's not showing fear. This is recognition, once again, of value, of your worth. Hence the last oracle card of, basically of reading old text like a novelist, right? Keeping you in their awareness and their energy because they recognize your value and they want you around. All right, so And this is because the connection is no longer imagined, it's real, it's tangible, it is formed, it exists. Feelings were expressed. So this again could look like someone being intentional about how they handle the connection, not wanting to lose something, especially now that it's fully begun, and taking their time because they understand the importance and once again the value of what is in front of them. You are no ordinary woman. You are no ordinary man. All right, they recognize that. That I love that Sade song. This is no ordinary love. No ordinary love. That's what they recognize. This is the feeling of, I'm not taking this lightly, not out of fear, but again, out of respect for what it has become and for who you are. All right. And that is the card we close with. So again, this is where everything changes because now you're no longer sitting in the space of trying to understand what this connection is. Excuse me. You're standing in it. You're experiencing it. You're watching it take shape in real time. And there's something very grounding about it. Yes, it is. Even if it feels a little overwhelming at moments, and you're a little shy, a little high school giddy, right? Because when something has lived in your thoughts and emotions for so long, there's always a level of distance. You can reflect on it, question it, and you can even try to ignore it. But once it begins to show up in your physical reality, once there are conversations, presence, interactions, shared moments, that distance disappears, right? That's why we have that Four of Pentacles. Now it's something you can feel, respond to, participate in, hold on to, and value, right? And what Spirit is showing here is that this connection is not staying in the background anymore, all right? It is no longer internal, it is external. It's not staying in the space of what if, or maybe one day. It's stepping forward in something tangible something tangible, something genuine, solid. And so there's no need to rush ahead of it. Let it unfold when it unfolds. There's nothing wrong with that slow growth, with that pentacle energy of groundedness and stability, that earth energy. And there's no need to hold yourself back from it either. All right, remain Nine of Wands guarded where you're guarded, but you're open. But remain open, right? Meet it where it is as it unfolds, because you know that that now it's no longer something that you just know. It's something you're beginning to live. All right, something you're beginning to live in the real, in the physical, and experience, right? So go ahead, experience love. Go ahead and experience, live in the fullness of what this is, what this new beginning, this new start is. Aces are all about the new starts, the new beginnings. Live fully in it. Stay open to it. Yeah, stay guarded, as in don't be naive. But stay open and enjoy this. Enjoy the beginning stages of something real, if that makes sense. This is the time for that Three of Cups energy, that merriment, right? When you are going out and getting to know one another and just living in full joy with one another as you do. So just enjoy the moment is what I'm saying. Don't get too much in your head about it. Enjoy it. All right. As always, rooted in rising family. Stay rooted, stay rising, and aligned with all the divine gifts ahead.